Good evening, this is Atmospheric Alex here, and welcome back to another tropical weather outlook and discussion for this tropical wave that we have been tracking that is currently impacting some of the Cabo Verde Islands off of Africa here. We are anticipating the system to move off to the west and then maybe recurve off to the north, but only time will tell at this point. And the main question that I have in this video is, will it go out to sea? Because none of the models have a good handle on the system right now, and it's been constantly changing all day long. And here's currently our look at Invest 97L. That is what this tropical system is called. And I tried to move everything out of the way so the overlays don't block the half of the screen again, like yesterday or the day before. That was absolutely ridiculous. But here we go. You can see your tropical wave here on your satellite imagery pushing off to the east here, or to the west, I should say, right like that. And we've been seeing a couple attempts at a lower level center. If you saw this yesterday, we did have a bit of a low down here. It kind of pinwheeled up like this, and now it is up in this area. But we still could see a relocation of this lower level center depending on your thunderstorm intensity. If we see like a big burst down here out of nowhere, we could see our center retrograde back down to the south, but I guess only time will tell for a scenario like that. And right now I'm going to go ahead and show you the National Hurricane Center's tropical weather outlook here. You can see our massive red shaded area right within here. This is going to be Invest 97L and where it tracks, or roughly where it tracks. So this big area here basically indicates where the center of circulation could go. So from about right here, which is where it's located, we could see our center, head up in this general area like this. Or we could see our center go down here and track in this general area like this. So really we have our southern solution here and our northern solution here from the NHC. Now we're going to take a look at our sea surface temperatures ahead of Invest 97L. So remember, low pressure is right here over Cabo Verde, and we can see our sea surface temperatures and where it's going to be going generally off in this area. Temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s are going to be present over the next couple of days, but then as it moves further off to the west, I'm going to keep advancing this forward here, you could see here getting into your orange, your red colors, and as we go all the way out here to where it could go, anywhere within this area here, you even have some mid to maybe even upper 80s in terms of water temperatures. This is very supportive of a rapidly intensifying system, and a major hurricane actually cannot be ruled out from Invest 97L as it tracks into this area here. But it's going to have a pretty big obstacle ahead of it right here. All of your red, orange, and pink colors is your dry, dusty Saharan air that is blowing off to the southwest like that. So this Invest area is going to be tracking generally off, kind of in like this direction, and is going to wind up getting caught up in all of this dust. So the question remains, is it going to get enough moisture to maybe fight off some of this dust here, get a nice moisture bubble to protect itself? Or is it going to get choked off, weakened significantly, and start dipping a little bit further off to the southwest here? That is going to matter a lot when it comes to our track and our potential U.S. impacts, and even your lesser and greater Antilles impacts later down the road. And of course, we can't forget about our wind shear, extremely light across these areas, which is why we are seeing a lot of thunderstorm development, and this thing actually may begin to be on the verge of becoming a tropical depression here soon. That would really be quite interesting. It's definitely earlier than we really expected. So now that we know all the background conditions Invest 97L has with it, let's take a look and see all of our other possible scenarios from our European ensemble model on weatherbell.com. I am so happy to finally have this website here. It is going to be a ton of fun to use and very informative and educational for sure. There's a lot of products here to go over, but we're just going to stick with this on this website here today. So you can see our lower level center right here. of 97L. That's according to one of the models. You're about to see a lot more of these pop up, and it doesn't mean that there's going to be 50 hurricanes, in this general area going, off like this. It's going to mean that there's going to be one of them, but 50 different scenarios that these members are portraying, right? So that is something I need to continue to say in every single one of my videos, because if anybody gets confused by that, I could see how this could be used to cause a lot of fear mongering, and I'm not here to do that, right? So you could see all your centers starting to develop here. I would like to note some of which are a little further north, some of which are a little further south. So we have a northern option, a southern option, and a middle option here, and that is going to be super crucial, for this model here and this track. And you can see here, this really becomes a lot more all over the place, right? You could see we have our southern tracks coming in down here. Look at how far south that is. And our northern tracks already curving out to sea. We have a large range of possible outcomes from our EPS model here. As we continue on through, you could see a handful of these actually take it really close, if not into the Bahamas here, but the grand majority skips it right on out to sea like this. I'd really like to note, and I don't know if you could see this from here, it's really hard, but I think somewhere right within here is Bermuda. Right within that area there. And you could see a lot of scenarios pushing this straight into Bermuda, which that would be pretty serious, though. I have heard they're well built out there and they can sustain these impacts. Look at your southern scenarios. We definitely have quite a few members here that are pulling straight into New England here in the mid-Atlantic regions, kind of going off like this. This is something we really need to monitor here, as this may not be a certified fish storm in the long run, but the grand majority, again, are out to sea and they get flung out just like this. In your European operational model here, you can see a very weak center of circulation here. This is what pushes off of Cabo Verde, and honestly, I really don't know if this will sustain, and if it doesn't, we could see a potential relocation, maybe all the way down here in the middle of your wave envelope. That is something to really watch out for. Now, this is going to go on and push off to our west. Look at how far south this gets right here. Yeah, we're talking here now to around 18 degrees latitude and north. That is going to be something to watch. I may have said that backwards there. But then you could see something really interesting to note is you have your high pressure here, which is causing a lot of steering to occur off to your east like this with your tropical system. And you have another high pressure system out here, and then a large gaping hole right within here where this system would likely track up into. So while your high pressure system was fairly well established, there's going to be a lot of holes in it, basically like Swiss cheese, if you will. And it's going to find that weakness. It's going to go up a little bit late though, and just barely clip Massachusetts here, like Cape Cod. Look at how close of a call that is to some people. This is not a forecast, this is just a model, but it does show a possible scenario here of really high surf, dangerous, deadly rip current risks here along the coast, and most importantly, some damaging winds here as well. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our wind shear map here from the same model, from our European model. It remains fairly light over the next few days, but we are going to begin to see some slight complications here. Like right here, you have a little bit of some kind of a feature that slides within here and causes some outflow to impede on our center of circulation here on Invest 97L, aka future Hurricane Erin out here. And so, basically you may be thinking, well, higher wind shear is better for hurricanes, right? That means more wind. It does not. It means that you have more directional wind with height and more wind to really displace your center of circulation. Here it is with no wind shear, but your center will get tilted a bit if you have more wind shear involved, and so you will not have a vertically stacked system, which means all your warm air rising from my bottom hand here is not going to go into my top hand, which is the center of circulation. The whole thing will be a sloppy mess and will struggle to develop, potentially pushing it off to the west just a little bit more. This is stuff we need to watch closely. Small changes in the models lead to big differences later on. And so there you have it. Wind shear becomes a lot weaker as it heads off to the north. Now, how about your moisture plot here? It is in a very moist environment right now. This is your total perceptible water, which is basically the amount of water in your atmosphere that's being held up. And this is a normalized anomaly from the past 30 years. But you can see your Saharan air kind of like this, and also your frontal dry air as well out ahead of your system. There is a potential that some of this does try to impede on the system and wrap around, but that remains yet to be seen on our models. But you could see there is a little bit of an intrusion here. It is very weak, but it does cocoon itself pretty well in its moisture pocket here, and a little bit of dry air with some wind shear. Again, could this cause it to go further south and west? Well, you certainly can't rule that out at this time, so please, if you're going to call this thing a fish storm, please bear in mind that there are going to be a lot of factors along the way, a lot of speed bumps that could really alter where this thing goes. But it really becomes tightly cocooned in its moisture, and that is how you get rapid intensification around the 8 to 10 day mark or so. Now off to the races with our GFS ensemble model here. We're basically going to see where this system goes. Once again, kind of the same product here. It takes a very long time to develop. That is something I really need to note right now. But once it does start to develop over here, here you go, your lower level centers begin to form over here. And it's funny, we don't have much support for this system even developing on this model. I don't buy this at all. In fact, I'd have to say that the GFS is quite unreliable here. And you only have a few members that actually form this into something, and majority of them go out to sea. I'm not sure why we don't see anything happen down here because of how weak it is according to the model. But again, I guess that is something we're all going to have to watch, right? But certainly, you could see a couple of our ensemble models here kind of plowing it straight into the northeast, kind of hooking it back like this as a bit of a ridge tries to build to the north, but again, not a forecast. Speaking of our GFS, I just had all these panels load in right here, freshly squeezed, freshly picked new model data here that is ripe for us to use. And you can see here from our GFS, our system right here. And it is definitely a little bit further south than previous model runs here. So we're going to see what this does. We have our high pressure system up here, right there, that is steering this system kind of off like this. And we have our gigantic gaping hole right within here where our system can escape out to sea very easily. Our pathway of least resistance, right? And does it take it? It sure does, but Bermuda, my goodness, you all need to watch out closely. This thing gets extremely close to your area. I mean, right here, that is Bermuda in that little black dot. So if you're in Bermuda, you need to get your hurricane preparation plans underway just in case anything crazy happens and this does go right through your area. Again, it's better to be prepared now than trying to get prepared later in a panicked rush, right? And you can see this goes out to sea, but again, not a forecast. And we're going to speed this up a little bit here and not look at all of our individual parameters because our European model tends to handle those best. So let's look at our Canadian ensemble. I don't usually look at this too often, but I'm just very curious to see what it shows. But you could definitely see very gradual, slow development of our system here. This is sticking just below 20 degrees north latitude as well, which that is going to be something to really monitor. And that could, here you go, lead to further southern solutions. Take a look at this. You do have some members tracking it through the Bahamas and, dare I say, Florida. Definitely not a forecast at that point. But then you see a pretty good cluster out here, another camp, I guess you could say, out here, pushing it. What do you guess? Right near Bermuda here. That is something that, again, it just needs to be monitored. But you can see a lot of these members here. All of a sudden, there's more at developum over here. Your southeast coast, mid-Atlantic coast, and northeast coast here, New England. Still, you need to be on alert for this. In this case, we see 97L develop much later and much weaker. And if we see our high pressure weaker as well, there is so much that's going to change between now and, say, August 20th when this system is expected to get close. Your operational traditional Canadian run here. This is a little too far north in my opinion. We'll have to see how this pans out, but this shows it, yeah, all the way up there already. Just in a few hours from now. We'll have to see if that winds up happening. I think that was actually tomorrow. That's what I meant to say. This tracks through the Atlantic here and finds its weakness, but you do notice how it tries to, it recurves here, obviously, like this, but then it almost tries to go back up due north here. So yeah, I mean, again, you all are not out of the question up here. If we see a magical ridge start building right within here, like this model shows, you have your high pressure here in your higher latitudes, and it's going to steer like this. This is very strong, but we could wind up seeing something, potentially like this unfold. So right up into your area possibly. And now it's time for something way different. This is your European ensemble, your AI ensemble, believe it or not. And we're going to take a look at this here. This actually begins to develop your system quite late here, late in the game. At your 5-day mark, you start noticing some activities start to occur very far south in nature. And also your ridge looking a little bit more stout here on this particular model, kind of back building off to the west like this. Ridges do tend to get stronger, as you get closer to the expected time frame. That is going to be very intriguing for sure. And this ridge is strong enough to keep a lot of these systems far south here. A lot of these members actually shove this straight near the Greater Antilles into the Bahamas here. And this is probably going to be a bit of an outlier, but look at this. The grand majority of them go right into the East Coast here, some into the Gulf, just like this. Not really buying this at all as of now, but again, small changes lead to big differences later on down the road. And yeah, what in the world is going on later on? You see even more potential here with your future tropical systems. Yeah, we're going to have a lot to watch out for over the next 2 weeks or even beyond that, for sure. Your operational AI model takes it like this. Let's rewind the clock a little bit. Your other northerly lobe of low pressure right here actually breaks off from your parent low and does not develop. This is huge. If we see this happen, we're going to see our low pressure system relocate a lot further south and thus push a lot further off to your west like this and cause a lot more impacts, thus defying some of our current models right now. It does exactly that. Look at this. It doesn't develop fully until the Bahamas, and then bam, right into the East Coast as a Category 3, Category 4 hurricane. Absolutely by no means going to be a forecast on this here, but just simply, again, showing you a southern scenario here, and then our African wave train becoming a lot more active behind it. All you really need to know is this system here could impact the US, but it is very unknown at this time, quite obviously. And now, hang on a minute, just before we end off our video here, I want to note we do have a bit of a tropical system trying to form, believe it or not, just off the southwest coast of Florida. This kind of all happened at the last minute, but we all woke up this morning and saw a massive explosion of thunderstorms under a very strong anticyclone aloft. And you can see a lot of spinach going on right within here with our system. So this right now is over around 90-degree water temperatures, and if we do see any more thunderstorm activity tonight towards the center of circulation, we may be talking about quite a situation here over the next few days. It is absolutely by no means a forecast that this thing will form into anything, but if it does, yeah, definitely could be talking about some issues. Okay, and with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, share with some friends and family on social media, and leave a comment in the section below if you did enjoy the video, and if you have any future suggestions for me down the road. That being said, stay very tropical weather aware out there, and have a wonderful night, everyone.